When you lace up your shoes and step outside for a walk, you feel an immediate sense of accomplishment. You know you are doing something fundamentally good for your physical health, but there is a hidden dimension to this daily habit. Almost no one considers how the precise timing of their walk changes the internal chemistry of their body. The simple decision of whether to walk before or after a meal completely alters your biological response. Walking before eating and walking after eating are not biologically equivalent. This is not a matter of personal preference or scheduling convenience. It is about sending two entirely different signals to your brain and cells. These distinct signals activate different physiological systems, utilize different metabolic fuels, and produce vastly different long-term health outcomes. Let us explore the exact science behind these two scenarios. We will follow both pathways step by step to understand what happens inside your cells, your bloodstream, and your blood vessels. By the end of this analysis, you will know exactly how to align your walking habits with your goals. There are no rigid, absolute rules here. Instead, we are translating complex human biology into practical, actionable decisions that make sense for your daily life and support your long-term metabolic health. To understand why timing matters so much, we must first recognize that the human body is a highly dynamic system. It does not operate the same way at all times. It constantly adapts to its immediate metabolic context. One of the most critical contextual questions your body manages is simple. Is there fresh energy immediately available in the blood, or must we rely on stored reserves? The answer changes everything. When you eat, your blood is flooded with glucose. Hormones shift, the pancreas goes into active duty, and the body transitions into what we call energy management and storage mode, prioritizing incoming nutrients. Conversely, when you have fasted for several hours, the physiological landscape is entirely different. Blood glucose remains highly stable, storage hormones are at rest, and the body operates in reserve management mode. If you begin to move when energy is coming in, the signal is clear. Use the incoming fuel immediately. But if you move when fasting, the signal shifts. There is no incoming energy, so we must retrieve it from storage. These two distinct scenarios activate completely different physiological pathways. Let us begin by exploring the first scenario, waking up early in the morning and stepping out for a walk before having breakfast. Imagine it is 7 in the morning. You have fasted for 8 or 9 hours overnight. From the outside, your walk looks completely normal, but internally, your body is making critical energetic decisions. Your working muscles require immediate energy, but there is no recently digested glucose in your bloodstream. Your liver glycogen stores, which act as a short-term battery, are partially depleted from the night. To meet this energy demand, your body acts like an efficient warehouse manager. It looks at the available reserves and decides to mobilize alternative fuels, initiating a specific hormonal cascade. Your endocrine system releases glucagon and adrenaline. These hormones act as chemical messengers, sending a clear signal to your adipose tissue that it is time to unlock and release stored energy. Inside your fat cells, an enzyme called hormone-sensitive lipase is activated. This enzyme acts like a key, opening the molecular locks of your fat storage and breaking down triglycerides into free fatty acids. These free fatty acids exit the adipose tissue, enter your bloodstream, and travel directly to your working skeletal muscles. Once inside the muscle cells, they enter the mitochondria, the cellular power plants. Inside the mitochondria, these fatty acids undergo beta oxidation, burning to produce adenosine triphosphate, or ATP. In simple terms, your body is forced to burn its own fat because no other fuel is present. However, there is a crucial detail that many people overlook. The true metabolic value of walking on an empty stomach is not just the absolute amount of fat you burn during that specific 15-minute walk. The real benefit lies in what your body learns over time. Every time you force your muscular system to obtain energy from fat reserves in the absence of glucose, your mitochondria receive a powerful stimulus to adapt. With consistent repetition, your mitochondria increase in both number and efficiency. They become highly skilled at processing fat as a primary fuel source, upgrading your body's cellular machinery. This adaptation is known as metabolic flexibility. It is your body's ability to seamlessly transition between burning carbohydrates and burning fats, depending on the immediate physiological context. A metabolically flexible body manages periods without food with ease. You experience fewer energy crashes, maintain stable mental focus, and avoid the sudden hunger spikes that plague many individuals. This is the profound, silent effect of fasted walking. It is not just cardiovascular exercise. It is a direct training session for your cellular energy management system, teaching it to be resilient. However, This system works optimal only when the intensity of your walk remains low and gentle. It should be a comfortable pace at which you can easily maintain a conversation without feeling winded. At this gentle intensity, your stress hormone, cortisol, rises only slightly. This minor increase is completely normal and simply helps to mobilize stored energy without triggering a systemic alarm. But if you push the intensity too high, or if you perform this walk while suffering from chronic lifestyle stress and poor sleep, cortisol levels can spike excessively, signaling a state of emergency. When your body senses danger due to high cortisol, it stops adapting and goes into defense mode. One of its primary defensive responses is to conserve energy, particularly by storing visceral fat. The key to success is not working harder, but sending the correct signal in the correct context. A gentle 15 to 20-minute walk is more than enough to activate all the metabolic benefits we have described. Now, let us turn our attention to the second scenario, which is arguably even more fascinating. You have just finished eating a meal, and you are sitting down, feeling comfortable and perhaps a bit heavy. While you rest, a complex digestive process is unfolding inside you. The carbohydrates from your meal are being broken down into simple sugars, and glucose is beginning to enter your bloodstream from your intestines. Within 30 to 60 minutes after eating, your blood sugar levels can rise significantly. Every time your blood sugar spikes too rapidly, your cardiovascular system pays a silent, accumulative price. The innermost layer of your arteries, known as the endothelium, is a delicate, single-cell surface that acts as the intelligent lining of your entire circulatory network, regulating vascular health. When blood sugar spikes rapidly, this endothelial lining is subjected to intense chemical and oxidative stress. Over time, repeated spikes cause microscopic damage that slowly compromises arterial function. Meanwhile, your pancreas is working at maximum capacity. Acting as a chemical sensor, it detects the rising tide of glucose in your blood and releases large amounts of insulin to clear it. If your muscles are completely sedentary, they have no immediate demand for energy. They respond slowly to insulin, forcing the pancreas to produce even more insulin to force glucose into storage. This repetitive, high insulin cycle is highly damaging to your metabolic system over the long term. But this is exactly where our story changes completely, offering a simple and elegant solution. If, at that exact moment when glucose begins to enter your circulation, you simply stand up and start walking gently, you activate one of the most elegant, built-in mechanisms in human biology. When a muscle contracts even mildly, it activates an intracellular protein enzyme called AMPK. This enzyme serves as your cell's emergency energy sensor, monitoring cellular fuel levels. Once activated, AMPK triggers the movement of glucose transporter proteins, specifically GLUT4, from deep within the muscle cell directly to its outer surface, bypassing traditional pathways. This translocation creates specialized doors on the cell membrane that open directly to the bloodstream. These newly opened channels absorb glucose rapidly, completely independent of insulin signaling. By moving your muscles, you create a self-contained glucose clearance system that does not rely on your pancreas. The incoming sugar is immediately intercepted and redistributed before it can accumulate. Because this glucose is absorbed directly by your working muscles, the dreaded post-meal blood sugar spike never has a chance to form, keeping your metabolic environment stable and protected. Scientific research has measured this effect with extreme precision. What they discovered is revolutionary. A short 10-minute walk started immediately after eating is incredibly powerful. Specifically, 10 minutes of easy walking immediately post-meal controls blood sugar levels far more effectively than a 30-minute walk initiated 30 minutes later. 10 minutes beats 30. This is not because 10 is numerically greater than 30, but because timing is everything in biology. If you wait 30 minutes to walk, the harmful glucose spike has already occurred in your blood. By the time you start walking late, your delicate endothelial lining has already suffered oxidative stress, and your pancreas has already been forced to secrete large amounts of insulin. Walking late merely helps clear whatever glucose remains in circulation, but it completely fails to prevent the damage that has already occurred. You must intercept the glucose at the gateway. When you walk at the exact moment glucose is entering your system, you intercept it. The result is a beautifully flat, smooth glucose curve, minimal stress on your blood vessels, and a lighter load on your pancreas. Remember this critical image. It is not about how far or how long you walk. It is about arriving at the right physiological window. Timing is the ultimate lever for metabolic control. Now, many individuals harbor a very reasonable, long-held doubt. Won't moving immediately after eating disrupt digestion and cause stomach discomfort or cramps? Let us address this concern. This belief has been passed down for generations, but modern physiological research paints a completely different picture. When the movement is gentle, the reality is actually the opposite. Walking slowly after a meal gently stimulates peristalsis, the coordinated, wave-like contractions of your intestinal muscles that propel food smoothly through your digestive tract. When this natural motility is enhanced, digestion progresses efficiently without stagnation. This significantly reduces bloating, gas buildup, and that heavy lethargic feeling after eating. The absolute key here is intensity. The problem is never movement itself. The problem is exercising with too much force or speed, which alters blood flow dynamics in the body. Intense exercise diverts a massive amount of blood flow away from your digestive organs and toward your working skeletal muscles, leaving your stomach without the oxygen it needs to process food. But a quiet, leisurely stroll does not create this competitive demand for blood flow. Your digestive organs receive ample circulation, allowing digestion and muscle glucose uptake to coexist. So, do not run, do not strain, and do not treat this as a workout. Simply walk at a natural, peaceful pace. That is all your body requires to reap the full physiological benefits. With that said, we must be absolutely clear about one thing. Neither of these two walking strategies is a universal, one-size-fits-all rule. We must respect individual biological differences. Fasted walking is a powerful metabolic tool, but it is not a badge of honor, an absolute obligation, or suitable for every single person. There are specific contexts where it is counterproductive. For instance, if you live with type 1 diabetes, exercising without eating can significantly increase your risk of sudden hypoglycemia. In this scenario, clinical safety must always override optimization. Similarly, if you are struggling with severe chronic stress or severe sleep deprivation, your baseline cortisol is already chronically elevated. Adding fasted exercise can place an unnecessary burden on your body. The human body cannot adapt positively when it is chronically saturated with stress. Instead, it goes into survival mode. We must prioritize recovery before demanding high metabolic flexibility. Furthermore, if you are pregnant or breastfeeding, your physiology is naturally prioritizing the support of new life. Your nutritional and energetic needs are elevated and highly unique. In these vital stages of life, the goal is not to force maximum metabolic efficiency or fat burning, but to ensure a steady, reliable availability of nutrients for both mother and child. Additionally, if you have a history of disordered eating, any practice that tightly links physical movement with caloric restriction can reinforce unhealthy psychological patterns. In all of these sensitive scenarios, walking after a meal remains an outstanding, safe, and highly effective alternative. It offers clear physiological benefits without adding systemic stress. Understanding these exceptions does not weaken our scientific message. It makes it smarter. Biology is never a set of universal laws. It is always dictated by your individual context. The ultimate key is not to chase what is theoretically optimal on paper, but to consistently practice what your unique body can safely and effectively utilize for long-term health. Now, let us translate this science into a simple, practical routine you can start today. The first habit is straightforward. After your main meal, stand up and walk for just 10 minutes. You do not even need to go outside. You can simply walk around your living space, step back and forth, or pace gently while listening to an educational podcast or calming music. The pace should be slow and relaxed. Remember, this is not an athletic training session. It is a vital biological signal. You are telling your muscles that energy is available and needs to be used. These 10 simple minutes protect your delicate blood vessels from oxidative stress, reduce the workload on your pancreas, and smoothly flatten your post-meal blood sugar curve. The second habit. If you wake up feeling rested and free of chronic stress, consider taking a gentle 15 to 20-minute walk before breakfast, keeping the pace light and conversational. If this morning walk leaves you feeling mentally clear and energized, your body is responding well. But if it causes dizziness or deep fatigue, listen to your biology and do not force it. You do not have to choose just one of these strategies. You can easily combine them, starting with the post-meal walk and adding the fasted morning walk as your metabolic health improves. What truly matters is consistency. Your body does not transform from a single walk. It adapts when it receives the exact same biological signals repeatedly over weeks and months. Each time you repeat these patterns, your cellular system learns. Mitochondria multiply, insulin sensitivity increases, and metabolic flexibility develops silently in the background of your life. Your body is never working against you. It is simply responding to the environment and signals you provide. Use the simple power of walking to guide your metabolism toward lifelong health.